So despite the supernatural themes and the kind of the fancy elements to Byzantium, at the heart of this story, it's about a young girl who's kind of finding herself, I suppose. I was wondering if that was something that really attracted you to the role.
Yeah, I mean, I feel in a way that she knows who she is. She's very much an old soul in some ways, and kind of physically she's in the present, but I think her mind is elsewhere. It's still very much in the past where she came from originally. And so I think she's lived through a lot. She's very, very wise. But then suddenly she meets someone like Frank, a young boy who likes her, and she's attracted to him, I think, because he does, but also because he's, dying, and he's been dealing with death for most of his life, and that's something that she can kind of connect to and relate to, and that wakes her up a bit, and suddenly she wants to be a teenager a little bit. These kind of senses start to come back to her.
I mean, you're only young yourself, so are you quite cautious about getting involved in romantic kind of storylines in films at this stage in your career? Is this something that you're sort of willing to explore from now on?
No, I think no, I'm not cautious about it or anything. I think it needs to be the right sort of story. I think there's a lot of films out there that just throw a romance into it for the sake of it, just to get as many people interested in it as possible. But I think a lot of the time, I don't see why there can't just be a relationship between a guy and a girl where they're friends. I think that would be just as interesting to watch on screen, and there's none of that kind of, sexual feeling at all. But no, it's not something that I shy away from or anything. I think if it works for the film, then that's great. And in this case, it's lovely to have that romance. It's very kind of touching. So,
of course, your character and Gemma Arterton's character have supposed to have been together kind of 200 years. So obviously we need a good chemistry. So I was wondering if that's something that just came naturally, because it is very evident, or if you two had to kind of build on that.
Well, we just hung out for 200 years before we started. Played the piano a bit. No, well, we did a little bit of rehearsal before we started the film, not much really. So we had hung out a little bit. And I think just when you're sitting down with someone and you're talking about a scene and you're emotional, and generally with actors you develop whatever kind of relationship it is quite quickly, and it's quite strong, just because you're expressing yourself from the off, like that's what we're kind of there to do. So I think that happened quite naturally between Gemma and I, and we just get on really well as well. We have a laugh, so it was very easy.
Of course, she's playing your mother, but she's only, in real life, she's only 8 years older than
Yeah.
Was she quite maternal, kind of, as well to you, offset and stuff, because of that role? Or?
I think Gemma's just like that anyway. I mean, she's only a few years older than me, but she's very much a woman, Gemma is, and she is quite maternal, and really did look after me, and I think that's just naturally who she is anyway, and it worked really well for the film.
And you mentioned playing the piano before. I was wondering if you learned the piano specifically for this film, or if that was something you already knew how to play.
No, I did. I had never played the piano before, and I was really excited when Neil came to me and said that I could learn how to play it, and he gave me like a Beethoven sonata to learn, which takes about 10 years to learn usually, so no pressure. But it was brilliant, and I loved it.
And your character has to eat quite a lot of blood. I was wondering what it was that you were actually, what did it taste like? Was it actual blood, or was it?
No, oh no, it wasn't proper blood. Oh God, no. It was very, very sweet, sticky red stuff. It was like food colouring and corn syrup and loads of sugar, and mint was in. I think there was mint in there, things like that. They just make their own little recipe, but it's awful.
And just finally, I was just wondering, you're going to be in Ryan Gosling's directorial debut, How to Catch a Monster, is that right?
Yeah.
I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about that. How sort of early in the process are you into that? And what's Ryan Gosling like? Have you kind of spoken to him yet about it?
I have, yeah. I think when I spoke to him about it in person, I got really, really excited about it, because I know now what he wants to do, and his kind of approach to directing and directing actors and things like that, and I can't wait to start. I go over next week. I mean, we start rehearsing pretty soon, and then we'll be straight into shooting. So it's exciting.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
You too.